All right, so basically what we got going on today is this immaculate little miniature bookshelf with the name Braxton on it, right? And this is actually from my sister as a baby shower gift, and I gave it to her a couple weeks ago, and everyone loved it. They thought it was great, and that made me happy because all the time that I put in it, was well worth it. Seeing the reaction and just creating something so amazing and beautiful to me. So I'm just gonna share with you guys how I built this, and I think it took me around 3 weeks. I can't remember. This is a while ago. Like, I just never put the video together. Like, it was a fat minute ago, but probably 3 weeks. Especially because I'd be out of town some days, and I only work on the woodworking like most of the time. Now I'm getting better at it, to do at least 2 hours a day, per day, every day. But I think at the time of building this, it was low-key random. Like, I don't know what it was, but it was pretty random. And there were quite a few struggles with this project. And as you're about to see right now, the window was one of them, knocking my phone stand down a little couple times. But my phone is all good, My heart dropped when I saw that because, I just got my new phone. And I was like, damn, bruh, not yet, bruh, not yet. But it was all good. But when I'm working on projects like these, I think of them as big Lego sets. But instead of the pieces coming together, I have to build my pieces individually and then put them together. And the footage that's just been playing in the background is me kind of getting all those pieces set, cutting them down to size. I don't think I milled the lumber. I think it was already like pretty perfectly straight for me to mill it, and I low-key suck at milling. So I'm getting better though. As every project goes, I'm getting better though. But just using the table saws, the miter saws, chopping everything down to size. And I think this was one of the first projects where I actually like drew it out beforehand, or not even drawing out, like just getting all my measurements, like knowing how big this piece was going to be, knowing how big that piece was going to be. Because every time I do woodworking, I realize that I struggle a lot because I don't prep beforehand. Like, I just grab my piece of wood and just figure out as I go, and then that's the reason it takes so long. But I'm now realizing if I just spend an hour working on the measurements and how everything's going to be, I just, have to draw it out on the pieces of wood and then just cut them out, and I'm all good. And I think what I was worried most about was cutting this name out, bro. Because if I was to mess up at all, that would just be a fat piece of wood wasted. And, hey, wanna aim cheap nowadays, bro. Like, Gotta save my money. And especially when it came to drilling in these holes and then using the jigsaw to cut it out, that made me more nervous because I know it wasn't going to come out perfect. I could make it as nice as I possibly could, but it was a real struggle doing it. Like, I had to take my time, be very particular with the angles and everything, and it didn't come out perfect, but we were able to sand in there and get the stuff out and make it as smooth as possible. And the best thing about this project was that it was from my sister, so, and it was like a surprise gift, they didn't pay for it at all. It was just a surprise gift, so I was making sure to make it as perfect as I could, but it wouldn't have been like a big problem, like if I made like little mistakes that were imperfections if it were for an actual customer. And what I realized as I was cutting up the B and then getting closer to the A, that the wood does shake a lot because it was cut thin. It's not that big plank that it once was anymore. So it was flimsy-ish. And if you wanted to snap it, I'm sure if you really were strong and put your muscle into it, you could snap it. So I was just worried about the jigsaw because it kept on vibrating. So I just didn't want to, snap it. Because if it snapped it, bro, that would have been number one crash out of the year for me. But everything ended up being, A-okay. And, not too much of a problem. Just learning here and there. And when I started working on the O, I think the O was most likely the easiest one just because it was the most perfect circle. The other ones were the B is not a circle, it's like a half circle. The A, when I drew it, it wasn't really like a circle. It was almost like an ovalish. So the O was pretty easy. So nothing to complain about that. I was just nervous the whole time, stressing, trying not to make the cuts as rigid, but make it as, as smooth as I could. But that's not how it came out. And just looking back at the name now, just looking how cool it looks, I was really proud of myself. I think the name is the cherry on top. I really would like to build more bookshelves with names, but I'm not going to do a random name, that's kind of weird. So I think I might be in the works of trying to figure out who to build one next because I want to. So maybe a family member, but I'm not too sure yet. Just because the walnut is expensive, if I were to build another one, I think I'd want to do it out of maple and stain it. I know that's being a little cheap, but I'm gonna build it for a family member. I don't want to blow my wallet now. Not trying to blow that, but just build something nice, but still with a little brown because I think brown does look nice. And then now heading over to the next part of the project, the router, which is low-key the easiest part. I just grab it, just go, zoom, just go straight forward. That was it. So I just had to route all of them with a rounded over edge, just because I wanted everything to be smooth and nice. Like, I thought that would be the best. And it's like for a baby bookshelf. Like, I know the baby's not gonna, touch it. It's gonna be high. But I just thought it looked nice personally. So we did all the ledges, all the beams, just routed it, going zoom over and over. And it actually wasn't that long. It was very easy and simple, and probably on the more boringier side just because of how easy it was. But now another stressful part of this project is the glue-ups. And I feel like glue-ups are always stressful because especially when you try to make things squared and perfect, me personally, I know like when I build stuff, it can never be squared or like, perfectly flat. So when I try to put the wood pieces together, there's slight gaps maybe. And I'm working on it, but for some reason it's like the most impossible thing to do. But this one wasn't too bad. It was just, kind of stressful to make sure everything was perfect. I'm trying to make sure everything's perfect because it is a gift. I want them to love it. And regardless if it was for a customer, that'd be even more reason to make it perfect. But I wouldn't say I'm a perfectionist because it's not perfect, but I try my best to make it as good as I can. And what I soon learned was that to be careful with how much glue I put on each piece of wood, because if I put on too much, it'll like when I clamp it down, the glue will like burst out a little, and then I have to like wipe it off as best as I can, or like scrape it off, whatever I do. And if I put too little, then it's not going to be glued good. But I was trying to make sure not to put too much, just because I have had problems where they dried and then it's just hard to get in the cracks when you're sanding, especially when like there's not a lot of movement room. Like, this is the inside of the shelf, so it's going to be a lot harder to get the insides. And then don't even get me started with this problem of the project, bro. My wallet, bro, it's not big enough. I need to buy more clamps, because as you can see, the first clip was like outside during the day. This one is literally, I think, like after I get off of work, and I just had to clamp it real quick because I'm just going to put the glue down, clamp it, let it dry overnight, and then do the next piece with my other clamps. Because if I really could get a bunch of clamps, I'm pretty sure this would have been like 2 glue-ups max, just because I don't think the clamps could like overlap each other. But I made this like 5-ish glue-ups, bro. Like, it took a lot longer. Like, this one, new clip, bro, in the morning the next day, and it was just like, bruh, like, it took a lot longer to finish this project too, because I would do it like, give it a couple hours, give it 10 hours-ish, let the glue dry, put the new clamps on. But it'd be like when I sleep, when I get back from home from work, before I go to work, anything like that. And then probably the most second satisfying part of this project was just being able to route it. As soon as I took off the clamps, zoom, 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 making it like finally smooth. So instead of it looking like a block, it's all smooth, rounded off edges. It just looks pretty to me. That's what I like for real. I just like the rounded off edges, or any type of edge using the router. Makes the box way more detailed and way more better. And then, now we're finally putting the last piece to the puzzle, just gluing up the name and everything. And I don't think I got to record myself cutting up the notches, but I didn't do it as good as I should have done it. So the name was struggling to fit in a little bit, so I used the bandsaw like slightly, shimmer it down, a little sanding, just to fit it in there perfectly. But after finally knocking that out of the way, we got the best for last, bro. The one and undescribable number one best part of woodworking, putting the oil on, bro. Like, literally just putting the oil on, so relaxing, so nice, and just watching your hard work finally come through, and just seeing the colors pop, the grain, like everything. Like, if you look at this grain, like, look at the bottom part. The bottom part looks so good. It sucks at the bottom because you can't really see it, but it just looks so good. And when you look at the name too, I picked out it specifically because, as you can see, the top is more darker, but as it goes down, the grain gets a lighter touch. And it was just a unique thing, I really liked it. Building this was such a blast, and they really loved it at the end of the day, and that was what mattered. And then, after this, we just had to take some professionally mid pictures because, they didn't come out the best. It came out, like, solid, but, it's not crazy. But, we had the black backdrop. I don't know how good it's working, but it's just better than just leaving it out in the open. Me personally, at least I think so. But, every time we put this backdrop up, we have to steam it, so it kind of does suck. But, I hope it makes the projects look a little better and look a little nicer. But that was it.